Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm in the van and I'm waiting for the ice to melt. Might take sorry, very early in the morning. What was it? It was a 5:10 wake up this morning. 5:10. But I'm going to name this vlog. I'm going to name this vlog The Long Shot. The reason why, because the odds of everything lining up are so slim and so against me that it's going to take a miracle for everything to work out. But sometimes that does happen in photography. Sometimes that does, an educated miracle. So you might remember 2 weeks ago I was checking out an app called PhotoPills, and I was talking about this. Now, on the 19th of this month, this is going to happen. Am I going the wrong way? Yes, I am. So that peak is going to have the Milky Way galactic center, and then at 7, it's going to have the crescent moon poke out just next to it at sunrise. And hopefully that is all going to work out this morning. It is not the 19th, it is actually the 20th, because the 19th was covered in cloud and there was no way of getting any stars through them clouds at all. So hopefully the 20th is the day. So here we are, we have made it, and the stars are out. So there is one tick, the stars are out. There does seem to be slightly a wisp of clouds towards the top of the mountains, and hopefully they're not going to distract too much from the main subject. I'm thinking it's going to be an ultra wide shot. I'm thinking that, but I just don't know. So there's only one way to find out. Let's go find the mountain and find the composition. Hopefully the stars and the Milky Way, and then just the crescent moon for good measure. So I've made it to my location. Now it's just trying to find the composition. I know it's along this, 15-meter stretch. I know it's along here somewhere, but it's quite important to me that I get it right, because the shapes that are involved create a beautiful image. Now if you check this image out here, you can see the way the trees curl down and then the peak curls up. It makes almost like a never-ending loop. And now what I'm hoping is going to happen is the Milky Way is going to sit just above that mountain peak, so continuously creating that never-ending loop, and all of them different shapes are going to sit with that, hopefully, crescent moon in that space. Again, the long shot. You can see why now. There's so many different moving parts, but if they all work out, it's going to be something special. So, time to get it set up, or at least to try and find the composition. But to do that, I'm going to have to turn out all the lights and let my eyes adjust to the dark, because I cannot see anything with that aperture light. It is very bright, very, very bright, very, very bright. So, I will see you when I've acclimatized and I found my composition. So, I found where my composition is, and yeah, that aperture light is back on, so I cannot see a thing. Now, this snowy bank is where I'm going to have to climb, but something I did notice, which isn't a good sign, and adds to the long shotness, is I'm surrounded that direction, and that direction in a bank of cloud. The only side that doesn't have that bank of cloud is the way that I'm shooting. which makes it even less likely for this shot to get pulled off. An even greater triumph if it all works out. Now, you might be wondering, how the hell am I going to notice when my camera's in focus? Now, there is a little technique, and that is learning your lens. Quite important when you do astrophotography, because 9 times out of 10 you can't see anything. So I'm going from memory and lining my shot up. To focus my camera, I'm going to need my head torch, and then what I'm going to look for is the number 8 sign. And I know if I tweak that a little bit to the left of that number 8 sign, the infinity sign, then my lens should be pretty blooming sharp. And I'm happy with pretty blooming sharp, because at the end of the day, this is going to be the first of the test shots. It was already dialed in, perfect. This is going to be the first of the test shots, and what I'm going to start with, because I'm shooting lights that are so far away, i.e. the stars, I need my ISO to be really high. So the first setting I'm going to change is my ISO, and I want it somewhere between 3200 and 6400. So I'm going to start it on 3200 because we are in the French Alps. It is pretty close to the stars already. Then for my shutter speed, I don't want my shutter speed to be too long, because what then starts to happen is you start getting light trails, okay, with the stars, and that doesn't look necessarily pretty. So unless that's what you're going for, which I'm not, I want crisp, perfect stars. So I'm going to go for a 15-second exposure. So I'm just going to dial that in, and then what I'll do is I'll check that exposure and make sure that's right. So now I've got 3200 for my ISO, 15 seconds for my exposure time, now for my f-stop. Because I'm shooting something so far away, that depth of field is very narrow. You're not going to really need a wide depth of field. To capture the trees and the mountains, you might want to take a separate exposure for that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my aperture all the way to let as much of that light in as possible. I've got it on a 2-second timer, and I am ready to fire this off. There is only one thing that's stopping me at the moment, and that is the fact that you guys are filming. So I'm going to take this test shot, and I'll see you just afterwards. So I've done my test shots, and they look pretty good. Okay, the mountain's a little bit soft and the trees are in focus, but shooting on f2.8, you do end up with a very shallow depth of field, but I'd correct that later anyway. So here is my first shot at 3200 and f2.8 and a 15-second exposure. Looks nice, doesn't it? Them stars look nice and detailed, no drag lines or anything like that. But there's one big problem. Yeah, tons of clouds. In that little intro, somewhere in between the intro, the clouds arrived and they've smothered my sky. So I've been continuously taking shots, and there's the one thing that I found is there is way too much ambient light now, because it's starting to get so early. The Milky Way's up and out, but behind a huge bank of clouds. But luckily, all is not lost. There is a shot over there, which you have seen before. There it is. But you've never seen it in the morning, especially at this time of morning. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a shot of the towns, capturing them lights going through. I'm going to try and get that well exposed, and then I'll hopefully blend that in with the ambient light hitting that valley and lighting up them clouds in the distance. It isn't exactly what I planned, but it is still going to be a nice shot, I hope. I'm a bit gutted about the fact that the clouds arrived just as I was about to take a shot. But what can you do? What can you do? When life gives you lemons, we'll do our best to make lemonade for sure. There's one thing I do know for sure about this shot, is this is way too wide. So a quick change of lens is in order, back to my 24-70, and I think I'll probably be shooting on around 50mm from previous experience, but no less. So everything, as sunrise normally does, lights up super quick, but I have got a beautiful scene with some houses leading through the valley and over to that mountain that I have shot many times already, but still very happy with the results. Now, what I have been doing since we last spoke is I've been taking multiple shots, trying to make sure the mountains in the background are as sharp as I physically can. As you can see, it starts off pretty soft. It goes through a series of shots until I finally end up at this one where I have focused to infinity, but it seems to have worked out quite nicely. So I've got my lights in my town, they're all lit up, and I've got that shot. Now what I'm going to do a series of exposures to make sure I've got them in as much detail as possible. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to wait until that sun kisses the top of that peak and I get that beautiful alpine glow. And if I get that, I'll be a happy man. Happy man. With cold fingers, but a happy man nonetheless. And yeah, I'll see you when that starts to happen. Hello and welcome to my chalet. Yeah, been an absolute muppet again, and so left it on time-lapse mode just after that time-lapse you've just watched, and time-lapsed my outro to my vlog. But not all is lost, because I think I remember roughly what I did. First of all, I took this shot right here, and that was of the lights in the town with that glow coming out. Absolutely beautiful. And then I took this shot of the sunrise and that colour across the sky, and again looks absolutely beautiful. And then this shot, and what I did with this shot is I exposed to have that colour across the top of them mountains as that sun first came up, hitting them peaks, looking absolutely beautiful. And that's what it was all for, to blend them all together just like this. Just look at that. Isn't that really nice? Now let me know in the comments below if you think it's overdone, a little bit too edited, or whether just having the lights on in that town and also having that colour on that peak does not work. But considering setting out this morning, well, the other morning, setting out that morning to go and get stars and then coming away with a shot like that, I think it was quite a success. And my thought for this week is, when you're given lemons, try and make lemonade. Don't give up. Don't sit there and battle through and hope that the conditions are going to go the way that you'd like them to, and then they don't. Look at what you can change that morning into. So I went out there to go and capture a shot of the stars, and ended up becoming away with a beautiful exposure blended sunrise through time, which, yeah, I think looks pretty sweet. So if nothing else, go out there, give it your best shot, and if it doesn't seem like it's working, try something else. See if you can create something out of what's not working. Other than that, have a lovely week, and that is all from me this week. I'll see you next week.